Hey guys, I hope you're all having a great day today because the individual that we're going to be taking a look at definitely is not, and that is because of the actions of Nintendo. So yeah, it's another video talking about the Switch 2. Do you enjoy buying secondhand games? Well, if you buy secondhand games on the Switch 2, or more specifically, if you buy Switch 1 games secondhand to play on your Switch 2, you might get banned. So I was scrolling Twitter today when I seen a bunch of people talking about the fact that you can get banned from the Switch 2 for playing secondhand Switch 1 games, and I decided to look this up, and sure enough, I found an article saying, well, exactly that. Somebody got banned for playing Switch 1 secondhand games on a Switch 2. Switch 2 owner banned for playing secondhand Switch 1 games. Because how dare that player try to save some money by playing secondhand games? Don't you know, you're supposed to buy them for full price even if they're 7 years old, so Nintendo gets all of your money. New concerns have arisen over Nintendo's strict policies over how you use the Switch 2, although for the moment it does seem that there's a solution. Oh well, thank God there's a solution. We can go ahead and end this video here, all is good. No, but in all seriousness, the fact that you need to find a fix for getting punished for playing secondhand games is actually fucking pathetic. Nintendo gets away with a lot of negative consumer practices purely because their games and consoles are so popular, but there's already been concern about their ability to put the Switch 2 permanently offline if you use mod carts, which are often used for playing pirated games. Now a different problem has arisen from a Switch 2 owner that claims he was banned for using second-hand Switch 1 games that he bought from Facebook Marketplace. Alright, let me just say this before we go any farther into this article. Do not buy video games, video game consoles, PCs, anything like that, any sort of hardware from Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is a scammer's wet dream. They are notorious for scams. Nintendo apparently realized they were secondhand when he attempted to download patches for them when starting them up on the Switch 2. At this point, he claims he was banned, and while it's not something that's been widely reported by others, it does raise obvious concerns for the future. Yeah, because God forbid you don't want to buy a game that came out in 2017 for full fucking price. Maybe if Nintendo were to put their games on sales like almost every single other company in this industry, people wouldn't have to go to Facebook Marketplace to play Switch 1 games. Why is Breath of the Wild, a game that came out in March of 2017, still full price? This game was originally a Wii U game, and hell, if you want the Switch 2 version, you gotta pay even more for the privilege of running at a better frame rate. According to D-Manthe on Reddit, they were able to unban themselves after speaking to Nintendo support and showing them the Facebook listings and photos of the cartridges. What exactly Nintendo thought was going on is unclear, since it's hardly unusual to sell secondhand games, but they likely believed they were pirated games, which seems to be their main concern at the moment. Yeah, they're so concerned about piracy that they're willing to fuck over paying customers. At what point do you realize that your anti-piracy measures are going a little bit too far and may hurt innocent people? If we're being honest, what probably happened here is the person who sold the game probably redumped their game and then sold the cartridge after, and that's why it detected like a pirated game or whatever, and Nintendo banned the console. But what's the solution to this? Never buy used games because this might happen? Be forced to buy full-priced games all the time that are now more expensive than ever? When I was younger, I bought bootleg games before too that people have done this same sort of thing with, but the difference is back then they didn't ban your entire fucking console for using these games. Although Nintendo is pushing digital downloads more with the Switch 2 than previous consoles, physical game sales are still much more prevalent on Nintendo formats than PlayStation and Xbox. Yeah, this is true, and this is why a lot of people didn't like the idea of the game keycards, because Nintendo was viewed for a while as kind of like the last bastion of physical games. And it was something that a lot of people respected about them, but now they're kind of going away with that, with the digital game key cards. That means second-hand games are commonplace, and while traditional piracy is relatively rare on Nintendo consoles, Fake cartridges are still easily found on eBay and other online sources, while the mod cart that Nintendo has already banned is the sort of thing used to download pirated games. But if you detect a pirated game, can't you just block it from being played? Like, do you have to brick the person's entire console, especially when situations like this could happen? The long-standing problem is that Nintendo games are rarely discounted by Nintendo or retailers, and so second-hand games are vital for many fans in order to be able to afford all the games they want. Exactly, people wouldn't have to go buy second-hand games if you just did sales like the rest of the damn industry does. Also, when a game is like 7 to 8 years old, do you still need to sell it for full price? I mean, I went down to Walmart the other day, and I saw Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a game that came out in like fucking 2017, being sold for 80 Canadian dollars. And that's before you add the 14 or whatever % tax to it. You think I want to pay over $90 for a Mario Kart game that originally launched on the Wii U? Nah, I'ma buy secondhand. But oh, I better watch out, I might get my Switch 2 bricked. Like, dude, if you ask me, whenever a game is last generation, so a PS4, Xbox One, Switch 1 now, when those games are last generation, they should be half price. I think that's completely fair to expect that. If Nintendo starts banning everyone simply for playing a second-hand game, then there's going to be chaos online, but hopefully they realize that before issues like this become common. Yeah, they're probably not going to ban people just for playing second-hand games, like I said. What probably happened here is someone probably dumped the contents of the cartridge over to like a MIG switch or something like that, or did some sort of modification with the game. But the problem with that is there's no way to know if you have one of these modified cartridges until you put it in your system, which, you know, will brick the system if it's modified. And you know damn well some assholes out there are purposefully going to mess with games so they can give them to people and then brick their Switch 2s. How to get your Nintendo account unbanned? If you do have your Nintendo account banned for any reason, there is an easy way to try and have it overturned. Indeed, it's generally regarded as much quicker and less painless, I think they mean less painful, than speaking to PlayStation or Xbox support, at least in the US. The UK support page is here and the US support here. According to D. Manthe, he simply started a live chat with a human, and they were able to get him unbanned straight away. Well, that is good. Although naturally, you don't want to be doing that every time you buy a new second-hand game. But yeah, man, be careful with the games you're playing on your Switch 2, because if you play the wrong one that's second-hand, well, your Switch 2 might be bricked. I understand that most of the fault lays on the person who actually modified the cartridge, but do you have to brick the person's entire console for this? I don't really think so. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't, you can leave a dislike and an angry comment, and yeah, I'm out.